Hi, friend. How you
Hey.
feeling?
Well, since we just recorded almost two-thirds of the episode and realized it wasn't recording on top of the really shitty day that I've already had, I'm not doing that well. But I'm really happy to be here with you.
Listen, I feel so bad for laughing, but it is the literal like laugh to keep from crying. Big age bullshit. So it turns out we're aging. That's the thing. Just every breath, you just get a little older. You're blessed to have it,
And
though.
there's
Blessed
no
to be
aging
born.
gracefully. Who is that woman that said that?
I don't know, but that bitch lied. Because I hear you were on the sidewalk today.
I had a muscle spasm while I was crossing the street. It was a walk sign. I was walking. I had a muscle
Okay.
spasm. So anyway, muscle spasm, I can barely walk. I like take off my shoes. I'm trying to like breathe through it. I like walk a little bit till we can get to a place on the side of the street where I can sit down. I ask my husband to go get the car. He calls and says, "Oh no, Margo, you have the keys. Can you remote start the car?" Which I can. So I remote start the car. And he says, "Oh, yes, the car started, but because I don't have the keys, it won't drive." So I get off the phone with him and I assume that he's coming back to get the key, but he doesn't. So I start like hobbling. I get to the car. I'm like irate with him. I'm like, he's in the car tech on his phone working.
Like Candy Crush.
And he's like, sorry, I was locked in the car. And I lost my mind because he could have just called me and I could have unlocked the car. But instead, but he didn't want to call me because he didn't want to upset me. That was one thing that happened today. The other, it doesn't even matter. It's just been a day. Then here we are, but we have a lot to get through today. So like, let's show the good people your nails.
Period. Gosh,
Fashion Week nails, also to be debuted at Fashion File at a live event that is going to break the internet. And
that
the real
sold out. Hold on, that sold out days before the event. Let's just pause and celebrate the moment and live in the moment. Congratulations, friend. Good job.
congratulations, friend. And this muscle spasm is getting in the way because I have really high heels that I want to wear.
That's actually the first thing you said when you told me about it. You were like, Tashira, what am I going to do? I have got to wear my Dior shoes.
I do.
Like
It's
that
like
was really the thing.
it's and I've got to figure out how to get all of these t-shirts. I'm going to show you all of these
Yeah.
t-shirts and journals on the Amtrak. So I've got to get better quickly.
Eat some bananas.
I'm going
Get that potassium up, girl. Have Josh to rub you down with some lidocaine, some biofreeze,
to take all the
and
Epsom
everything's
salt
gonna be better.
baths. I'll be better. I'll be better tomorrow.
Yeah, everything's gonna be
And-
better. It's gonna be better.
okay. So there's a lot going on both in the celebrity world and in the political world. We're using this episode as one of our mini episodes that we drop between our full length. Our full length episode for this season debuted on Monday, September 2nd. Our next one will be September 16th. But this one, we want to just touch on what's happening this week because it's wild.
Oh, child. So we got some Bravo news, some Bravo celebrity news. We have some updates from the Kardashians to react to, and more. So let's start with Kim Kardashian. And I hear her son now has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one because, of course, celebrities are humans and their children have too much screen time, like all of our children.
For sure.
And apparently her son wanted to have some internet presence and start a YouTube channel. So she drafted a contract, which I thought was actually a very thoughtful parenting move, right? Explaining the boundaries and what he could include and what he shouldn't include for their safety and in terms of his behavior and chores and saying thank you and whatever. But like instead of just leaving it at that, right, which is what I think most parents in that position would do. I'm not saying what I would do. I don't think I would want my child to have a YouTube channel, but that's just me. Then she shared said YouTube channel with her hundreds of millions of followers.
She literally does not have the capacity to be anything other than a brand. And sometimes I wonder, I don't see a lot of Kardashian news because you know how I feel about them. But sometimes I wonder, did Did her mother make them this way?
Yeah.
Is this what happens when your mom is your manager and you have become famous just off your likeness and you're famous for being famous?
Well, it's also that everything becomes an opportunity to become more famous. But but if you're worried about your son and his access to the internet and people's access to him, why would you then share it?
And this isn't the first time that this has happened, right? And at the end of the day, someone's going to say, well, what's the big deal? There is no way that you can be a celebrity who has the level of fame as the Kardashians. And Kim, who, and this is a shame, I'm not taking a shot at this, who famously got robbed at a very discreet hotel in Europe, right? So you understand the harms that can come to you, your safety, your family as a result of fame. So there's no way that you would think that this was just some kind of agnostic, mindless thing to do. I have to believe that it was absolutely calculated. And for me, it's like, what's the net gain? How much more famous do you want to be?
And even if YouTube, which is self-monetizing, starts making this young person some money, why?
Why?
Right?
Why?
Like, do you want him to pay for his college? He's probably not going to college, right? Like,
Oh, she could buy the school. Like,
but that's
there is no need for money.
it's very confusing.
It's very confusing, and North is already making music, and her album is going to be called Elementary School Dropout.
What?
No, for real, I read it. Yeah. Now
That's
we know
cool.
Kanye's album famously was College Dropout, so I'll give her that. But it also is kind of like, haha, is that supposed to be funny? I don't find it to be funny. So she's making music. She's
So she's not in
going to
school
be
anymore?
mega famous in her own right, I'm sure. And then we have Saint, is that the son, who will soon have or currently has a YouTube channel. And so I'm sure it's just going to be a matter of time before we figure out how to monetize the passions and interests of the other children as well. So God be with them. I hope that the child is protected, because the internet, we've talked about this, right, with our episode about the Surgeon General and the warning about how social media can be harmful to children. The internet is just not a kind place for a lot of people, but especially for a child who is still developing.
Especially for a child that I imagine would be a medium for people to have access to his parents.
And it all just seems so unfair, because parents tell their children no and create boundaries every single day. But what I do know is that these children will never live a normal life because of who their parents are. And I don't know, I guess I just feel kind of sad for them. I mean,
Yeah,
we're all born to different circumstances, so it is what it is. But it's not a life that I covet in any way.
totally. Okay, sound off below. Next pop culture thing. This is
Girl.
one where you have more expertise than me.
Well, you know why I'm so interested in this? And y'all definitely
No.
sound off about this. Why is every housewife a crook? I think Andy Cohen actually seeks out people who commit fraud. Because that
How do
seems
you
to
do
at this
that?
point, if
How do
you
you
are
know how
law
to do that?
abiding, you can't get on the show. I mean, everybody between Teresa Giudice and her husband, who did Fed time for falsifying documents and bankruptcy proceedings, the housewife out in Utah who was running a whole pyramid
Oh,
scheme
Jen
and
Shah.
scam. Remember Jen Shaw? And now that damn Erika Jayne and her husband Tom Girardi, famously, who was he's 85 years old, mind you, and he's getting ready to do a very lengthy prison sentence for the rest of the time he has on earth, for defrauding $15 million in settlement money from clients. And Margo, I don't know if folks have saw the Hulu documentary. I saw the first two episodes. I would bet money that it's more than that. That's just what the prosecution could
Yeah, I
convict him on.
imagine.
So, do you know much about who he is and how he became famous? Why people know him?
Oh, he was a lawyer. Was he O.J. Simpson's lawyer?
No, he was Aaron Brockovich's attorney. He sued the energy company actually famously twice and won. So he's seen as like the people's hero. In the Hulu documentary, they say quite a bit about how if you were an attorney or if you were a judge, you had so much respect for him because he was known for going after the bad guys, the big money, the corporations, and giving money for his clients. But he was operating it like a Ponzi scheme. And so what he would do is get these big settlements. So this one client who's in the documentary, and there are many, talks about how I think it was a gas line break. Something happened and his home blew up. He lost his girlfriend in this horrific fire. And for the rest of his life, he had third-degree burns across his body. And he has to have different surgeries and he almost died. Tom Girardi sits down with him and says, hey, I got you, friend. I got you, buddy. Basically, give me the money. I'll invest it for you. I'll do all these things for you. I'll hold on to it for you. Don't worry about it. He told enough clients this that, like Bernie Madoff, he was basically using the next settlement to pay the previous client until the money ran dry. The reason this is also interesting for me, Margo, and tell me your opinion on this, is that while this is happening in the background, Erika Jayne has a hit song played in all the gay clubs called It's Expensive to Be Me. Her glam squad costs tens of thousands of dollars a month. A lady who was interviewed on the Hulu documentary, a month. A woman was interviewed on the Hulu documentary, Margo. She is a podcaster. She said Erika came to her podcast. It's no visual. With her stylist, her makeup artist, and her hairstylist. We can't see you. I don't know if you know how a podcast works.
Maybe she wanted the host to describe how beautiful.
In great
maybe
detail.
the host, maybe she also got hit in the face yesterday by
friend.
car.
We need to get you a mocktail in a juice tincture. We just need you to press a hard reset.
Love me and go to bed.
Shit. So what do you think, Margo? So the court just ruled that she can be sued. At first they were saying the jury was out.
So this is interesting. I don't know, kind of like, it seems like vicarious liability or something, or what did she know? What didn't she know?
Of course.
There's a very large age differential between the two people. So he's 85 and she's 45. So, I mean, I imagine her argument will be like, she had no idea and she just assumed he was this really successful lawyer.
And so I'm interested in what facts the plaintiffs will find to support an argument that she was not. And that even if she didn't know, there's still an argument to be made that if it was marital property, should she be allowed to keep her assets? Because allegedly, he was very meticulous about funneling money into her business.
Right, because that protects it. So it's interesting. I mean, right, so there are two questions. One, does she get to keep it? And two, what did she know? I think those are two very important and different questions. I think any money that was made or taken from someone unlawfully should be returned.
Period.
Right.
Period.
So I don't, even if she didn't know, that doesn't mean she gets to like keep it. If someone steals a computer and gives it to you and someone's like, that computer's stolen, you don't get to be like, oh, but it was given to me as a gift.
No, they still come and take the computer.
Right. They still come and take
it.
Yeah,
you bought it hot.
But you just never know what people know.
Yes, there are all of these legal implications around it, but I would say there's something else too, Margo. Our fascination with being rich and famous. Even I don't watch Beverly. I don't watch any of the franchise anymore, but I've seen a few episodes of Beverly Hills. I don't watch it much, but in the clips I've seen of this woman, everything about her lifestyle is so over the top. That's why her song is "It's Expensive to Be Me." The video, she's draped in diamonds. You know, it's a panoramic view of her in a pink bed that's like spinning around. It's obnoxious and it's ridiculous.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. It's almost like, you remember when the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous was on TV with Robin Leach? That has now become what people expect their everyday lives to look like. Like everyone is expecting this access to wealth, and it doesn't matter how they get the money or how they get on TV or how they get famous. They just want the material possessions to demonstrate said wealth. And it's sick, especially because these are people like this one person who I mentioned, who you see him going to the doctor's office and talking about the surgeries that he still needs to have, and that he almost lost everything again because he's not gotten paid. Another woman talked about some like medical negligence that she hired him, and to this day she hasn't gotten a dime, even though the case was settled years ago. So stay tuned. We'll see if Erika Jayne will be on the next season of The Real Housewives. Is she even still on the show, y'all?
I don't even know.
Y'all let us know down below if you are a Beverly Hills watcher.
I have a couple friends who are big ones, so I can ask them.
Okay.
What else? Oh, this is one that I find to be deeply upsetting. Tashira might not be as aware. So for those of you who don't know, now you know. I used to be a huge WWE fan. The Diva.
Used to be.
I don't watch it anymore because the show isn't on anymore. Nikki Bella now, well, the wrestler formerly known as Nikki Bella, she now goes by Nikki Garcia, her real name.
Oh, period. Okay.
Who fell in love with Artem while she was on Dancing with the Stars. Well, she was with John Cena then, but then they broke up. Then they got together when she was in her single phase and got pregnant.
Okay. Oh shit.
Had a beautiful baby boy, Mateo. And then 2 years
Mateo,
ago,
love you.
yeah, he's real cute.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 years ago they got married in Paris under the Eiffel Tower. Really fancy wedding. I think it was at the Ritz or something.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, he was arrested for domestic violence last week.
No, you lie. I did not think that's where this story was going to hit.
Yep. And then on Labor Day, she was already hired to be a host for an event in Vegas for a hot dog eating contest.
Margo, I'm about to cut off this computer, bitch.
Of Tashira. And people said she did a great job. Okay, laugh.
Okay, no, it's the way that you be saying these things and you know that they are ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's like I have been so interested in this story because there's nothing coming out.
Well, Margo, let's go back. So this is her baby daddy husband who she accused him of intimate partner violence.
Her baby daddy husband called 911 saying she was throwing shoes.
Okay.
They get to the scene and she's injured. And very common, actually, like that perpetrators of violence call the police because they don't want to get in trouble. But
no, I didn't know that actually.
So I don't know, like something was going on, obviously. And then according to TMZ, people in their close circle are surprised but not surprised. That they're
because it's probably volatile.
Very volatile. That their relationship was very volatile. I mean, look, she's a professional wrestler. I wouldn't fuck with her.
Period. But then she was on at the hot dog eating contest right afterwards. Well, sometimes you just got to put that face on, because I think the hot dog
industry. She's now going to be a single mother.
You said she is going to be a single mother?
I mean, she might be. She might decide to get divorced. She wasn't wearing her ring
at the hot dog eating contest. Okay, so we're going to stay tuned for this. Y'all let us know if you know anything about.
It's not so discreet.
This situation. And listen, I am the only one. I guarantee you, people say all the time, I am a Margo. 90% of the comments on this episode are going to be like, oh, girl, and did you know? And because don't know about these people in this situation. So I'm very curious.
Okay, so here's another quick pop culture intersecting with political thing that I don't know if you've heard about.
Okay, tell me.
Tim Waltz's brother came out on Facebook saying he would never vote for Harris and Waltz.
It be your own people. It be your own people. What did he say? Why he said that?
Said that this is a monkey state, that I don't even know what that means.
Me
That
either.
that they don't have any policies, that
It be your own people. It really do. It really be your own people. Because what good is that doing anybody right now? You don't have to vote for him. Just don't vote for him.
right. And he was like, "Oh, I just meant it to be an email among friends." And then someone was like, "Well, why did you post it to your public Facebook?"
Nah, man. I wonder if he's getting paid by the Project 2025 creators. He might be on the Heritage Foundation's payroll because he sounds like a plant right now, honestly. And I don't know anything obviously about his family, but that sounds like a toxic mess for
Well, I
sure.
did hear, not related to this, but I did hear that Trump was courting a lot of influential young influencers.
Yeah, I mean, we're not surprised by that. We know that he's going to have the ballerina farm lady down there, likely.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think,
But he
this
had
whole,
some very famous reggaeton Latinx artist who has like 30 million Instagram followers.
you are lying, Margo.
I forget his name, but I read about it. It was really upsetting.
I mean, we shouldn't be surprised, right? Given their performance at the RNC between Kid Rock and Amber Rose and
Hulk
Hulk
Hogan.
Hogan. Speaking of WWE, it was so confusing to me. Do you think that the bandana that he wears has like a single track of blonde weave in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, so I'm not surprised, and this is just what it is, and I think there will always be cultural workers in any movement. That is the role of an artist. And so I'm not surprised that he is doing it on his side because he also seems to be falling apart to me. Let's talk about what we are looking forward to for the debate, which is coming up next week.
So I'm looking forward to a debate where Vice President Harris can respond to a question and President Trump cannot.
Like policy positions succinct, like we know her to be as an attorney, and he just fumbles the bag. Sounds like.
I'm really interested and invested to see what she says about gun control
Yeah, there was just another shooting today, right?
at a high school.
Do you remember when these types of things used to happen and the world would stop? America would stop. And now we just go about our business because gun violence and
Is so
mass
normalized.
among children.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, it's so horrifying how we've normalized it. And being abroad this summer, seeing friends from other countries, and they're so horrified. They're like, how can you ever send your kids to school in the United States?
So famously, exactly, famously, the Maasai people, and I hope this is correct, but from my understanding, the Maasai people, when they greet you, they have a saying that's Kasirian and Jiri. Probably saying it wrong, but they greet you by saying, "How were the children?"
Yes, you've told
Right?
me.
They don't care about you; they care about the kids. And so, when our children are going to schools in this way and are worried about mass shootings and have that to be a very real threat, for me, that's the biggest symptom of American society. We need to look no further than that, that
Mm-mm.
your child could have that experience just simply going to school day to day. I a fellow student at that. I don't know, do we know much about
I don't know,
that?
but I imagine it was another student.
What else? Our hearts go out to them, by the way. But what else?
I'm going to be very interested to see how she responds in the moment to his like poking her.
Like, can she stay calm?
Yeah, and she stayed very quiet. She hasn't responded. There's been so much nastiness coming from his side. Did you see the t-shirt? I don't even want to repeat it, but it said, hell no to Joe and the HO. And
So
people are wearing it around.
I know when she was asked, I think, about the turning black comment during her CNN interview, she was like, it's just more of the same. Next question. So she's being coached not to respond to it directly because rightfully or wrongfully, I think the idea is that it's going to allow for him to implode. You stay calm, you respond directly and succinctly, and let him just
Spiral.
go on rants and let him spiral because he will do the work for you.
What are you most excited for?
I want to hear more about her position on Palestine and how close we are to a ceasefire, what those conditions might be under her administration, how she differs or is the same as far as her position on Israel is concerned to Joe Biden. So I think she has another chance to speak directly to that. And I'm ready to hear that for sure. And how it's juxtaposed, obviously, against what Trump has to say. So that's one thing for me. I agree with you about gun violence. I think he has been doing some flip-flopping around abortion bans.
IVF.
And IVF, but and the abortion ban in Florida that's going to reach the ballot.
Yeah, I want to hear, I want them to talk about reproductive justice, obviously. So, okay, can I just add one more thing to our list?
Yes, yes.
I really think just like she has an opportunity with Palestine and Israel to kind of be really clear about how she would deal with Netanyahu in particular, there's also an opportunity for her to lean into what the actually a bipartisan immigration bill that she was supportive of, that Trump voted down because he thought it would hurt his last election.
I heard about that, and I heard her speak about that quite a bit.
And so there's this really fascinating juxtaposition that that the Republicans have made, like, oh, the Democrats are so weak at the border, they don't care. But actually what happened was not that. So this was a bipartisan bill. Vice President Harris had a lot of influence in getting it to the Senate, right? Putting it as a priority. Worked on for many months. It was very complicated, very expensive. Struck down by the MAGAs, saying that they wanted to wait to the next administration because it was too close to the election. That was simply a political move.
Period.
So that comprehensive immigration reform was not passed under Joe Biden and Vice President Harris.
Absolutely, because we know that it has not occurred since the Reagan presidency.
Right. So if it had occurred and it included increased security at the border, including increased law enforcement presence at the border, which was part of the bill, the argument that Vice President Harris and Joe Biden were weak on immigration doesn't hold water.
It would not have worked. And so they basically set her up to have something to attack her about, formerly Joe Biden, but now Kamala Harris about. And actually the attacks probably are more salient in their minds because of her position as the person who was in charge of the border as the vice president, and told to do so, obviously, as part of her duties by Joe Biden. So I agree with you. It's time to hear more about immigration, because if I hear one other person called illegal and hear one other just racist diatribe by Trump and MAGA Republicans, I am going to scream. And I think writ large, we just have to get clear about the fact, Margo, that when people come to this country, if they are asylum seekers, they are not doing so illegally.
No,
you cannot get asylum unless you're here.
That's
and
the
they know
whole point of asylum.
The whole point of it. You were fleeing from something called the cartels, likely. And so what they are able to do is craft this narrative that they know just factually is 9 times out of 10 incorrect, but also has a lot of nuance in policies and procedures and regulations that are behind it. So we have, based upon my list, 6 key issues that we're going to be listening for. I'm sure more will emerge.
I have one more. I
Yes.
listened to something this morning and I'm really interested into what our listeners and viewers think about this. That apparently there's a coalition of evangelical Christians who are supporting Kamala.
Yeah.
And obviously the vast majority, I think the statistic is incredibly high, like 96% of voting evangelical Christians voted for Trump or something in the last 2 elections.
Yep.
And this question about how can you be religious and support someone who has no conscience?
I saw this because you know who kind of brought this into the news cycle? Billy Graham's son
Why
claimed
are you
that,
listening to him?
Margo, I'm from the South. I'm a good old Southern Christian. I grew up on a Billy Graham, child. Not true at all. Some of those things are, but not that. I saw it on the news. And Billy Graham's son had claimed that his father voted for Donald Trump. And the family came out and said, we doubt that. Granddaddy was sick. Now, let's be honest. And we don't think that happened. And also, by the way, his granddaughter is leading this movement, or is a vocal part of the movement that you just mentioned. Of evangelicals. Yeah. So, yes, that has been definitely making its rounds, and let's hear more about it. I love this idea of just like calling forward people who you would not assume would be part of this coalition that is Team Harris, Team Walz. And so let's find out who's going to wave the banner the loudest, the proudest, and most importantly, actually vote like they mean it, because people say things and they do something else all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, friend. Well, go heal your nose.
And my muscle spasm.
Go heal your muscle spasm.
Don't crack your manicure.
I will not crack my manicure. It just says something that's the biggest of my worries today. And what's one positive attention that you hope for our live taping at New York Fashion Week on Sunday? Because this episode's going live the day after.
I'm just really excited to see some of our Emirati.
Period. I hope that it's just been good, amazing, immaculate vibes, and people feel a little bit better, lighter, and happier when they leave than they did when they came. So we cannot wait to see you all. There will be an episode from that live taping, by the way, if you are not able to make it. Otherwise, we will see y'all soon. Bye, good people. Thanks for listening to justUS. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to learn more about our podcast, be sure to check us out on our website at justuspodcast.com. You can also reach out to us there if you want to be featured on the show, or if you have a business or a product that you think would be a good fit for our audience. Thanks again for listening.